All right. So here we go. We got Blue Letter Bible in a year. We are in Genesis 19 through 21 today. It's day 18. Yeah, day 18. Day 18. And we are in Genesis 19. So the angels are headed towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're going to save Lot and his family. And there came two angels. They don't save his wife. She looks back. But we will read that. Don't let me get ahead. And there came two angels to Sodom, even at Lot sat in the gate at Sodom. Lot sat in the gate. What's sitting in the gate? Okay, when you're sitting in the gate, you're supposed to be protecting the city, watching. What do you protect the city from? Sin. So here's Lot sitting in the gate. Can you imagine what he goes through living in this place? I can. Just look outside. It's garbage. We are there. Sodom, even Lot sat in the gate, seeing them, that rose up to meet him. And he bowed himself with his face to the ground. And he said, Behold, now my Lord is turned in, I pray you, your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned unto him. And he entered into his house, and he made them a feast. And he did break unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house, both old and young, and all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came in thee this night? And bring them out to us, that we may know them. And Lot went out to the door, and said unto them, Shut the door after him. And I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have two daughters, which have not known a man. Let me, I pray you, bring them unto you, and ye do to them as in your eyes. Only these men do nothing, for therefore they came under the shadow of my roof. And he said, Stand back. And he said again, And one fellow came to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. And now we will deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man. Even Lot came near to break the door. And the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, and the small and the great. And so they were wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou bare us there any besides a son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast the city, bring them out of this place. So he said, Go get your whole family. Because Lot is kind of a righteous guy compared to the rest of these Sodom people of Sodom and Gomorrah, his whole family would be covered. For we will destroy this place and because the cry of them that is waxed great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord shall send us to destroy it. And Lot went out, and he spake unto his son-in-laws, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. So his son-in-laws mocked him. And when the morning arose, the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and the two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed by the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, do not stop and get your garment. When it's time to go, you go. And while he lingered, the men said, laid upon his hand, and upon his hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him, they brought them forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not upon thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest ye be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy great servants have found great in his sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed me, in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near unto thee, flee unto it is a little one. Oh, let us escape hither. It is not a little one, for my soul shall live. And he said unto him, I see thou have accepted thee concerning this thing also, and I will not overthrow this city which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape hither, and for I cannot do anything till thou be come hither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar, and Jehovah rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire, and Jehovah out of heaven, and the Jehovah out of heaven. And he threw those cities and all the plains and the inhabitants of the cities which grew upon the ground. And let's look at this is 19. Okay. We will look at verse 19. 24. Okay. Has risen upon the earth. (24). 19:24. Boom. 19:24. Let's check out this verse. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm looking at it in the Septuagint. Jehovah. Okay, Septuagint. Krios. And Krios. Wow. Okay. So the Septuagint has it a little different, where it says in verse 24, where it says, the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah and Abraham in the fire of the Lord out of the heaven. It says Krios. So it's like the messenger or the Christ of the earth, rained the heaven from, and the Christ of the heavens. So it's a Christ on the ground and a Christ in the air. So why is the Septuagint? Why wouldn't the Septuagint right there just say the Jehovah of the sky and the Jehovah of the ground? This is a big verse for the Trinitarians. Interesting. And he overthrew those cities and all the plains and the inhabitants of the cities at which grew upon the ground. But the wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. So as the fire's raining down on the city, she looks back, comes a pillar of salt. Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Krios, or a Jehovah, and looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of the furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and set Lot in the midst of the overthrow, which he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar, and dwelt in the mountain with his 2 daughters with him. And he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave with he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man to come into us after all the earth. Let us come and make a father and drink the wine, and he will lay with him, and we may preserve our seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and perceived not, and she lay down, nor so his wicked children. And we'll see there this seed goes haywire later on in the book. And it came to pass in the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with the father, and make us drink wine, and lay also, and go in now and with him, and preserve our father. And they made their father drink wine. That night also the younger arose, and lay with him, and he perceived not where she lay down, or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of the Lot were with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. Now here we go. And the Moabites unto this day. Oh, the Moabites. And we see that the Israelites have to deal with the Moabites. And the younger she also bare a son, and called his name Benjamin, and his name, or Benami, and the name of his father and the children of Ammon to this day. The Ammonites. Hey, for Fish King, you were here yesterday too. Right on, man. So we covered 2 days today. And so Abraham journeyed. So there we go. We've got the beginning. Here we got the beginning of the Moabites and the beginning of the Amorites. And their end is not good. You know, the Israelites will have to deal with these guys for generations. And Abraham journeyed, and we see where they're seated. Their seed's rotten. That's why they're wicked. And Abraham journeyed. Yeah, it's of the flesh, you know. And Abraham journeyed from henceforth to the south of the country and dwelt in Kadesh and Shur and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham and Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Abram took Amalek the king of Gerar and took Sarah. But God came into Amalek in dream at night and said to him, Behold, thou art a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. And Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay a righteous nation? And he said, Not unto me. She is my sister. And she even herself said, He is my brother in integrity of my heart, in the innocence of my hands I have done this. And God said to him in the dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this with integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore I suffered thee not to touch her. And therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, thou shalt surely die, and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called his servants and told all these things in their ears. And the men were sore afraid. And Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, What hast you done to us, that I have offended thee? And that thou hast brought me on my kingdom a great sin. And thou hast done deeds unto me that thou ought not done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What thou sawest that thou done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed she is my sister, and that the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, when I said unto her, This is the kindness which thou shalt shew unto me, every place whither we shall come, say of me, He is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And Sarah said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes, and unto all that are with thee, and all others thus she was reproved. And Abraham prayed unto God and said, Heal. And God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, that they were bare children. For the Lord hath closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah and Abraham's wife. So Abimelech and his whole house got restored for doing the right thing. There we go. And the Lord visited Sarah, and he said with the Lord, he did unto Sarah. This is Genesis 21 now. Genesis 21. Not that these things should really be read chapter and verse. Remember, we'd be reading a whole scroll and we'd just be scrolling through it. The chapter and verse makes it real good for us to be able to identify where we're at. But chopping it up, man, if you become a 1 or 2 verse teacher, you're going to be sideways. And the Lord visited, and Jehovah had visited Sarah and said, And Jehovah did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, and at the time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son, whom he bore Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, and God had commanded him. Yeah, yesterday I talked about the circumcision. What do you guys think? if Fisher King, if you're still here, do you think that the circumcision, could that be a bit of a punishment or a reminder not to be in the flesh? They took a little bit of flesh because of their impatience and him getting with Sarah and having Ishmael. Okay, because it goes straight from Ishmael straight to the circumcision. You know, it's something to think about. I'm not saying that's gospel, guys. Okay, I'm not saying it's the gospel. I'm just saying that's something to think about. Because we know in Acts 15, you know, circumcision didn't matter. After Yeshua came, the circumcision, no, you're supposed to be circumcised of the heart. Okay, so something to think about. Okay, so Sarah said, God had made me to laugh, so that all I could hear me laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham, the Savior would give him children for suck, and I have borne him a son in this old age. And here's the trippy thing. You know, that king is grabbing Sarah as a wife, thinking he's a brother, and she's an old lady. She's an old lady. She must have been quite a fair old lady, though. Okay, and the children grew, and he was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day as Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, an Egyptian, which had borne unto him Abraham mocking. Therefore she said unto Abraham, cast out the bondwoman and her son. For the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even Isaac. Okay, this is huge right here, guys. This is a huge concept. Kaboom. Like, poof. Okay. The bondwoman will not be heir with my son. Okay, what is it? What is in Galatians 4? It's an allegory between the covenant with promise and the covenant given after transgression. Okay, Galatians 3:19. Okay, is that separation after the transgression of the golden calf. The next covenant given was given as a punishment. That's what people don't get. But you got it today. Okay? Don't touch the bondwoman. They liken it to Sinai. What happened? Just prior to that, he gives them the 10 Commandments. They're in Horeb. Okay? They're in Horeb. You do an about face. There's Sinai in the distance, 6.5 miles away. You can see it. You can see the top of the mountain. Don't touch the mountain. Then Paul uses Sarah, the free woman, and the bondwoman as an allegory in Galatians 4. Okay, do not touch. Do not touch. What happens to people when they figure out they're supposed to be obeying the commandments? They end up in the Torah movement. Okay, they start doing the feasts and all that stuff. And they think they need to obey all the laws. Well, their sacrificial laws were given after the transgression as a punishment. Now, think back, that circumcision. Kind of like tzitzit. Tzitziot. Kind of trippy, guys. Kind of trippy. Okay? People think you throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. No. What did we just hear about the covenant of promise? The separation between the covenant of promise and the covenant given after transgressions. It's everlasting. Okay? The retelling of it by Moses is Deuteronomy 5. How does he start that? Deuteronomy 5:22. He says, I made them a covenant in Horeb. Okay? Made them a covenant in Horeb. When throughout the New Testament, when it says, when Nathan goes running up to John the Baptist and says, hey, the guy Moses wrote about is here. The prophet Moses wrote about is here. Or when Yeshua is in the temple and he says, if you guys don't listen to Moses, you won't listen to me. Moses wrote about me. That's Deuteronomy 18. What's he say? You shall hearken the prophet that come to say everything I put in his mouth. Everything you desirest in Horeb. That's Deuteronomy 8:16. Everything you desired in Horeb, which was that he be our God and we be his people. That's what they desired in Horeb in the day of the assembly. Read Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19 today. Read that. That is the main prophecy. That is the main prophecy of the Messiah. And it's refreshing. He is telling us about this covenant right here. It's the holy covenant of promise that goes inside the mercy seat. And it all starts right here. So we got to understand with this covenant that Abraham's doing here. And he wasn't a perfect guy. No, but he listened. And he obeyed. Right on, Abraham Lincoln. Right on, man. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully you have ears to hear, brother. Man. Deuteronomy 18. Then read Deuteronomy 5. All that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb, on the day of the assembly. And then you know what it says in Deuteronomy 5, verse 22? Check it all the way out to there. He added no more. We know he added tons of instructions on how to keep the Ten Commandments. But to the covenant, he added no more. The burden's light. And nobody hears it now. Because it's spoken in parables. If you stick with me throughout the whole thing, we'll cover it all, if we've got that much time. All right, so this is Bible in a year. Where was I? Okay, here you go. And she sat down and went against him a good way off. I'm going to start in verse, this is Genesis 21, verse 16. And she went and sat down over her against the good way off, and it was bowstruck. For she said, let me not see the death of this child, and sat over against him and lift up her voice. And God heard the voice of Halad, the angel of God, called Hagar out of the heaven into her, and awaiteth thee, Hagar, fear not. For God hath heard the voice, and the lad, where is he? Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God had opened her eyes, and she saw the well of water, and she went and lifted the bottle of water, and gave it to the lad to drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and he became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him and wife out of Egypt. And when it came to pass the time of Abimelech, in Philcol, and the captain of the host spake unto Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me that God thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor my son's son, according to the kindness that I have done unto thee. And thou shalt be unto me, and you unto thee, in the land that thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. You know, Peter and Paul tell us that if we're righteous, we don't have to worry about what these freaking governments are doing. I see Christians all the time bickering about what the government's doing, this, that, and I used to be into that. Look, Abraham didn't worry about what Abimelech did. Abimelech's like, dude, I see that you're blessed. And I see, he gave him a blessing. He, as the king, he's like, yeah, your hands off. Just do your thing and we'll be good. That's Romans 13, 1 through 7. Gosh, Romans 13. Let them have ears. Let them hear. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of the well of water which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Oh, yeah, but guess what? Him and Abimelech are good, but these servants are crazy. And Abimelech said, I wot not have done this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither had I heard of it to this day. Abraham took the sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs in the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What mean thy these 7 ewe lambs that thou hast set by themselves? And he said, For these are the 7 ewe lambs thou shalt take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Therefore he called the place Beersheba. Beersheba, 7 lambs at Beersheba. Okay. Because they both swear them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba with Abimelech, and rose up Philcol, the captain of his host, and they returned unto the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and there they called on the name of Jehovah, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistine land many days. Wow, wow, wow. So, we read that. I took us to, and I also switched over here. I got a computer up to where I can go in, and I looked at some of the verses. I looked at 21:24, which is the Lord of the air and the Lord of the heaven, or the Lord of the land, the Lord of the heavens. And we looked at that in Strong's Concordance and in the Septuagint. It's just wild, man. You got to dig into this stuff. And I love you guys. So that was day 18. Blue Letter Bible app, Bible in a Year. It's chronological, so it makes more sense. And I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.